Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. So it's April 4th, about 9 p.m. my time, and I promised y'all that I would give you a video today, and give y'all a rundown of what I found in the market, what I see happening in the Degen chain space. In my last few videos, as I've shown y'all, I've been typically doing the Degen Chain ecosystem videos just because I personally think that this is more than likely the ecosystem that we want to focus on. And by we, I mean myself, and hopefully you guys do your own research. I'm not trying to give y'all, tips to buy or sell. I can't do that legally, but what I can do is I can show you guys how, probably through over a decade of myself trading financial markets, and I've been in crypto since late 2016. So, I was able to pick up ETH relatively cheap, BTC relatively cheap. And I've been pretty early to things like Solana, which was early 2021, late 2020. I was pretty early to DeFi Summer too, which was in 2020. So all these things I've generally been pretty good with, tracking new products and new concepts and where exactly is money going and where is the space going, all that jazz, right? And I like putting my work in video forms, and sometimes I write sort of long form, um, newsletter style articles, but lately it's been so much easier for me to cover a lot of ground on video, just because it's very, the space moves really fast, right? Things within crypto change within days and weeks. And so instead of me spending like, 4 to 8 hours putting together a newsletter article, today I'll make a video in less than 30 minutes. And then if things change in a week, I can do the same, make another video in less than 30 minutes, right? So where we are today may not necessarily be where we were a week ago or where we will be a week from now or a month from now. But it gives us a decent idea and a foothold of understanding, where the market generally is from a narrative perspective. And I've said this before that I think Degen Chain is probably where a lot of money and activity will probably focus on, and go into, simply because I think the opportunity is extremely high to make Degen Chain something very, very massive. And, if you think that this is big, where something has gone up from, you know, a couple $1 million to 500 million, you've not been in crypto long enough, because once these things really, really start to explode and catch on fire, they can go ballistic and they can go to billions and billions of dollars in the matter of a few months, right? And so that's my general thought process is, I think Degen Chain is the place I want to focus on. I think generally, Degen Chain and Solana is where I spend most of my time. Base also, but nowadays I kind of consider like Degen chain and Base pretty much the same thing. They're just like brother sister chains. So I'm just gonna speak on Degen Chain and Base Chain like they're one thing. Okay. I know that they have separate flows and different products and different, user bases and whatnot, but let's just stick with Degen Chain for now. Okay. Once again, if you go through my YouTube videos as you're watching right now, you'll see that, the past few videos I've given you guys a rundown of, what kind of products are out there, like the NFT Degen Launchpad, the Mint.club. Um, you know, you have Dracula app, which I've spoken about before. Basically, this is kind of like your Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels plus YouTube Shorts, where you can get paid basically. Like you'll see every time you go through a video, you'll get one of these little pluses. So you've accumulated now, one extra little blood thing, right? Whatever this is called, drip. And going through these videos, you basically accumulate more and more of those. And so the point is that there's going to be many, many social fi applications that are going to come about on a Degen chain, right? Degen chain or base chain or both. And I believe this visual kind of very aptly sums up where we are in the market, crypto market, broad market, but specifically Degen chain, right? I think somewhere here is where we might be, or we might be somewhere here where it's a basing period of there's extreme enthusiasm. Within this, I think you already have a product launch, so there's no pending. Media moves on, not really. I think this is all like in the middle tier of all this stuff. We're in the middle tier of let's just say we are supposed to get like millions and millions of users, but right now we probably have like 500,000, right? So that doesn't mean like speculators have gone, doesn't mean media has gone. It just means like the attention is lesser now than it will be in 3, 6, 9 months. And so the stage at which I believe this ramp is coming is probably going to be the second half of this year and probably first half of next year, in my opinion. Okay. So again, non-investment advice, but this is kind of how I see it, right? So if I were to map out, I've already talked about this before. So, and by the way, I don't mean to sort of, extrapolate insane numbers like this, but I already told y'all this is how I've done the math. And again, non-investment advice. This is just general extrapolation of market caps of Polygon, which is the largest L2, right? L2 meaning it's basically a secondary chain that makes transactions cheaper and speed faster on Ethereum. And then Cardano is like an L1 market cap, right? And then Solana is a L1 market cap. Okay. So L1 market caps of Cardano are 20 billion and Solana is about 75 to 80 billion dollars. But let's just say, we're not that ambitious. And Degen Chain only for this cycle gets up to maybe Polygon's market cap, which is around $8 billion. So from the current price, and I mean like literally today's price, that's still a massive mover of 1,600%. That's pretty big, right? And the last 1 or 2 videos I've showed y'all that, one of the main reasons why I do think that's going to happen and make that successful is because the Degen token, this token that we speak of, has embedded itself into one of the deepest and most sticky economies that's out there, which is, social apps, right? Warpcast, Farcaster. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in crypto where the economy and the platform itself is literally using this token to allow tips, to allow partnerships to be built, grants to be given, so many different new stuff that's being built on Warpcast is basically having the blessing of the Degen ecosystem and vice versa, right? And the fact that Warpcast is so, easily working with Degen Chain shows me like they see the growth in Degen Chain in the same way Degen Chain sees the growth in Warpcast. So I think these two things are both going to grow together extremely tightly. And one of the ways we like to sort of look at metrics is, I already showed you all this, right? So Dan Romero, he's the founder. if you kind of look at his DAUs, MAUs, activity logs of, how many people are using Warpcast, all that stuff, you could kind of see like, so DAU, MAU back over 40% last week, trailing 30-day average of monthly active users is 180,000. This is for Warpcast. That's 180,000 for the trailing 30-day. I think this is just getting started, right? So think about 180,000 people who are slowly getting embedded into Warpcast, which means 180,000 people are slowly getting embedded into the Degen ecosystem. That's how I see it. I think the path is very simple. If you're exposed to Warpcast, you're exposed to Degen Chain. If you're exposed to Degen Chain, you're exposed to Warpcast, and vice versa. And once you get into one or the other, you're going to go further down the rabbit hole of what else is there in the Degen Chain ecosystem. And one of the cool things that one of the guys put together is Wake. Wake put together this thing yesterday, I think. Let me see if I can find it. I have a lot of stuff to cover, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. So this is a really cool, well put together sort of, what's happening in Degen Chain so far, the Degen ecosystem. And here's like all the little tools and utilities that you could make. All right, make sure you find this. You can find this on Wake's profile. It's pinned. So explorers and stuff, that you don't really have to worry about. But the bridges, yeah, if you want to get in and out of Degen Chain ecosystem, that is one thing that you definitely need to use. Gamblify, which is, basically gambling finance or gambling games. Pearl and Bracket.game. Really fun, really cool. Again, I am not going to tell you you should gamble or you shouldn't, but I think you should check out and explore all these apps, because in the future, what Degen Chain is doing right now is it is putting on one of the best clinics I have ever seen of what it means to create an incredible business development program, like a partnership biz dev program. And what I mean by that is, if you look pretty much anywhere, whether it's, Daylight, which is like a on-chain mint, passes, airdrops, that kind of platform, or Payflow, which is, your Cash App or Venmo style platform. Other things like Mint.club. We've talked about, Poster.fun, right? This is another one. Whoops, Poster. Oh, there we go. Lenspost, right? These platforms are having very tight partnerships with Degen ecosystem. And when you have partnerships like this, basically, whatever app you use here, whether it's social or creative or something like Dracula, which I've told you all about, right? Where I am exploring to post videos. And again, I'm not really a person that posts reels and stuff that much, but I'm trying, right? Because I know in the future that this can yield me airdrops. Okay, so if you're a better man than I am, which I'm sure a lot of you are, try using these applications as much as possible. Have fun with it, explore, go into their respective channels and start asking questions, get involved, and then you can get tips that way, right? Like, I think just today, I just kept, I don't know, like talking to people and asking questions or posting fun, useful, actionable, informative content. And I got tips, right? I'm not farming for them, but sometimes when you post content in such a new community, like I just want to show y'all, someone, I don't know who it was that tipped me, but point is, like, I just get random tips like this, right? Like, okay, this person said, post your favorite quote. I like this quote. I just posted it. Do I care if I get degen out of it? Not really, but I did, right? And so that's great. So whatever I was going to do, I was going to do anyway, whether I got the tip or not. But nowadays, you're in this sort of economy where Warpcast, you get incentivized and rewarded for your behavior. And I think that's really cool. I would probably say don't go begging for tips because that doesn't really look good and then people don't like that. So I really don't either. If you got like if you sign up through my invite link, um, I don't really have an allowance to tip you. Like these tips I get, right? I can't give you those right through the app because they've not like Warpcast, the way it works is they have to give you an allowance and then I can, tip their degen that they've given me. This degen I've been given, I have to first bring it to my wallet and then I have to give it away separately. Okay. So if you sign up through my invite link, which is in my YouTube description below, um, I can send you some free degen just to get started. I'm more than happy to do that. I mean, every person who's like messaged me, I've given them degen. Okay. So that's not a big deal. But the point is, again, right? I just have like random people, who will just, tip me degen tips just because am doing whatever I'm going to do on the app anyway. And you get tipped, right? So I think the cool thing about getting involved in Warpcast is you have a lot more incentive to get involved, and more so, um, the content that you post, the questions that you ask, the involvement that you have will be seen more because I think their, engagement and impressions engine, the way their SEO works, if you will, the way your content is brought to the top of the feed for other people is not the same as Twitter. In Twitter, it's more like, what is yeah, I don't know, sometimes the most like dumb, controversial, gimmicky thing, and that'll sit at the top as it's gaining traction. Here, it's like everybody has the ability to get to the top of the feed for everyone else, right? So we're all kind of equal here. And so that means that you have just as much ability to, you know, basically get to the top of my feed as I do for yours, right? And I think that's really cool. So anyway, kind of making full circle here, Degen, Barcaster, very much embedded together. Stay focused on that, right? And then make sure you check out this House of Degen ecosystem list of the Degen ecosystem. Make sure you check out every single one of these. Start exploring these because in the future, you might get an airdrop just for exploring, just for clicking a few transactions, just for testing out something. This is how, you get these free airdrops that people start, talking about months and months later. Okay. So one thing I would advise you is explore. I cannot advise you to spend money or buy things. That's financial advice, which I cannot give you. But what I can advise you is try new products. Try Daylight. Try Payflow. Try Hook. This is like a DEX derivative exchange, which I'm really excited about. But I think this is first being launched on Base Chain. And I think this one is really important because one thing that we lack in the degen and base ecosystem is, like a DYDX, or if you guys are familiar with, like Jupiter or Deribit, those kinds of perp programs or perp applications, right? I love trading on chain with leverage and buying, BTC or longing BTC or longing, Ethereum, Solana, whatever, right? So we need products like this, and I think Hook is going to do really, really well in that. Um, the other thing that I want to talk about is, you know, the goal for this cycle, which I think I've written pretty clearly multiple times, but I'm going to write it again here. The goal for this cycle for me, at least minimum till the end of the year, is to collect as much SOL and as much degen tokens as possible. Okay, that is the singular goal that I have. And everything that I do, every trade I take, every P&L I rack up, every dollar I make is thought in terms of how much more SOL can I buy? How much more degen tokens can I buy? Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about trades and stuff, right? So I've had questions from people asking like, hey, do you think DEPE is going to go down more and this and that? Yeah, it definitely might. These are meme coins. when it comes to meme coins, like you you should almost always expect things like this to go to zero. Okay, I mean, not zero zero, because like they don't go to zero that fast unless they're rug pulls, but they can easily go down 70, 80, 90%. Okay, same thing with Dogen. Like I had randomly just mentioned Dogen on my Twitter, Farcaster feed. Let me see where I mentioned it. Um, See, I talked about it, but I also said that in Dogen, I have horrible luck in memes. Okay, so I'm not going to touch this thing until it reaches at minimum 500K. Where did Dogen get to? About 150. Now it's at 50, right? So I know what I know when it comes to memes, which is that I'm really not that good. And when I am good, what I am looking for is like, give me a nice, 50, 100, 200% gain, and I'm out. And guess what? Again, going back to the goal, which is buying as much. What the hell is it? I just wrote this. Buying as much Degen and buying as much Solana as I can, right? That's the goal. Okay. So if I get into a trade like Dogen, or if I get into a trade like Depe, or this morning I was talking about Enjoy Degen, right? And even with Enjoy Degen, right? Um, so I was talking about Enjoy Degen. So they had posted that there's an airdrop that will be coming in a week, which is pretty awesome. So I threw a little bit of money into it. It's nothing big, but guess what? I do a little bit of analysis still before I get into a position, which is, let me go back. Okay. Or let me go forward, which is that am I early to this position? How much capital will it require for me to get 25, 50, or 100% return on this position, right? Um, the markets today, if you've not been paying attention, got rocked. Okay, let me show you guys real quick. FinViz. Let me check out FinViz and I'll show you guys. All right, so this is FinViz, which is, US equity markets. I mean, everything was red today, right? It was a pretty brutal day in equities, actually. If you pay attention like I do, it was not a good day in markets. And then we can go to crypto heat maps too. I'll show you guys. I like this one, 2360. It was, okay day, but for the most part, ETH and Solana have been slowly grinding down. BTC is unable to break above and hold 70. And then we go to something like Degen is already down, 50% from the highs, right? And I already told y'all before, like, so here's the high, here's where Degen is, right? It's about 43%, but a few days back it was down 52%. Okay. It's probably going to head down further. That's kind of expected, right? Like when you have an asset that has gone up, in 30 days or so, it went up almost 1,700%. It's gonna cool off. All right. Like it's gonna cool off for a good month or two, and it's gonna go down 50 to 60%. And that puts prices, maybe somewhere around 0.3 or 0.2.5, somewhere down here. If you look at a Fibonacci retracement, we're talking about like 0.31 all the way to 0.025, So that's kind of where I will be focusing on if I do get that deeper pullback. I already bought a little bit around 0.37, 0.38. So I usually buy in tranches. I'll buy now, buy a little bit at 50% fib, and then maybe a little bit around the 618 fib. Let me flip the fibs around actually. They're backwards. Here we go. Okay. So, this is kind of how I would look at pullback opportunities. And then same goes with, whatever your top tier assets are in the Degen ecosystem. And I already told y'all, these are the assets or these are the products that you want to start looking at in the Degen ecosystem. But when it comes to tokens, like I think it's a double-edged sword because it's both, both a pro and a con that you're so early to the space where nothing has truly established itself as the dominant, player that attracts a lot of money or flows in this ecosystem. And so that means that in the Degen ecosystem, you don't really know if DEPE is going to be the next big meme coin, or if Degen swap is going to be the main swap DEX that's going to be 50 or 100 or $200 million. You really don't know. It's like all a gamble. Any new product can usurp any of this stuff. Any new meme coin can take away a lot of the activity and the meme coinage from these products. So what that means is, once again, you got to pay a lot of attention to Farcaster, because this is where the alpha is, right? It could be Enjoy Degen, which is this product right here, very similar sort of bonding curve process. I like to see if I can get in at the first 10 to 20% of the bonding curve intervals, like before this thing really moves and takes off, where you get double the returns or triple the returns, at the bait from the first initial step to the second or third step. Before it takes off, I want to get in. But if I don't see the momentum in it, right, I'm not going to shove large money into it. What I would do is I would, dip my toes a little bit, because like I said, we know that Enjoy Degen has a airdrop coming. So even if I have a little bit of money in there, I'll get airdrop maybe some, free tokens, hopefully next week. And maybe that covers some costs, and maybe that gives me some profit by next week, right? But other than that, everything else is a gamble. It's a complete toss-up. But aside from that, I want to be nowadays exploring new products, testing them out. I've told y'all already about the NFT Degen. You could buy some NFTs here, get on the Degen chain. You can also buy some domain names, right? I already told y'all that I own a couple of these domain names, like this one, okay? So these I own, right? On this particular profile, I started buying these just because I was like, okay, for the heck of it, why not? So you are still very early. And I want you guys to realize, like, when you're early, you still got to put in the work. You still have to test out stuff. You can't just expect things to come your way. Being early means that if you put in the work, you get the most reward, right? But you still got to put in the work. So we start, looking at broad markets with the ability of recognizing that there is quite possibly a larger consolidation that will be taking place between, April and May. And that's okay, right? I would not be scared of this personally. So again, not investment advice. Obviously, this shit can go down really fast, really hard. You guys have been around in crypto markets, and it gets really, really rough. You could also have black swan events like COVID and stuff. But personally, I think it's election year here in the United States. It's election year in India. Like, I don't think that things are going to go haywire too much this year. I think it's going to be a very calm, collected market. You will have large consolidations and stuff, but it's kind of going to be like this, in my opinion, like, chop, 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 chop. And then later in the summer, I'm expecting takeoff, right? Same thing up until end of the year or something, right? I would expect some further prices up higher. But that's, my thought process, okay? Doesn't mean it has to happen, and it's not, investment advice, all right? So we've talked about different products, right? Daylight, Payflow, Hook. I've also told people that I'm a huge fan of NFTs and art. And although this is on base chain, I really, really think that it's a pretty damn good deal that we're getting a really, really solid piece of art. Again, art is very subjective. So to me, these pieces are, let's just say, priceless, meaning they could be worth a lot or they could be nothing, but it's just the appreciation of the art and also the appreciation of the artist, JVMI, who's a really cool artist on the Farcaster platform. And I was fortunate enough to get a whitelist. But guess what? From the whitelist cost to where costs are now, it's not really that far of a difference. This is like maybe $100, $150 or something, right? Versus like the whitelist people had to pay $50. So it's barely a 3x in terms of NFT costs. But the point is that when it comes to NFTs, like when they really start taking off, they really, really take off in the same way that meme coins do, you know? So while we're talking about NFTs and meme coins, just recognize like, this kind of stuff, you will have to bear the pain of the market. And you could also be really, really wrong. If you're really, really wrong, just make sure that you're not losing, the bulk of your money before the real bull market, is underway for the next big leg up, hopefully later this year or some, and by the end of the year or early next year. Okay. Personally, I think it's going to start, in a few months, like where we have the next leg up. But I'm just saying, if you tame your expectations and even if you further them out into, second half of this year, which is like June to December, that's really not that far. It's just, you just got to wait 3 to 4 months. Yeah, it'll suck from now until then, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay. So NFT degen, buying domain names, buying NFTs, of course, things like swatches, which again are on base chain, not degen chain. Mint.club, I already told y'all that on Mint.club, you can actually just go here on degen, the chains, you could just start collecting like these airdrops. These are free. I mean, here, look. Okay, I'm just going to collect 10 of the boob tokens. Why not? Right? I never know if these things are actually going to do anything, and it's free. I got to spend zero money, zero cost to me. And if it does something, same thing right here, right? I don't know what these tokens are, but if they're free, it could be worth something later down the line. So why not? Okay. So lots of opportunities for you to do stuff on Degen Chain. Start exploring, start being on Farcaster. I've already told y'all, there's a ton of stuff happening. Please do follow me and ping me and ask me questions if you have any. I'm more than happy to always answer. I'm pretty active on Farcaster, as you can see. I try to reach out to different founders and look up different projects and explore them and test them out and make videos like this for you guys. All right. So I hope they're helpful. Enjoy. Make sure you join Farcaster. Add me. Let's have fun together. Let's enjoy the Degen ecosystem together. Just remember, you are early, right? No matter what anyone tells you, I do think that when it comes to this ecosystem, you're relatively early. All right. Good luck, everybody. Take care. And we'll talk soon. Cheers.